It's another great day. You're watching the Treva and Kevin Show. This is our Encouragement Matters show, encouragement from the heart.
It does make a difference. I want you to spend a little time thinking about encouraging me later through this programming today.
Okay.
Because we all need a little encouragement. Can I get an amen?
We do. What do you think are some of the ways that we can encourage our loved ones, our family members?
You know, you can never get away from that card. Even if anyone is to write a blank card and say, you know, I was thinking about you today and I want you to know how special you've been in my life. I love you and appreciate all the things you do. Just being a part of my life, sincerely.
Yes.
That, when you open that up, it's something special. People say, well, Kev, I did that because I sent them an email. No. It doesn't have the same impact.
That's right.
So I'm teaching a lesson. It's not just about an email. It's that little card. It really takes some effort to get it done, but it'll make a difference in their life and yours.
All right. So the reason why we have this show, because we're going to talk about encouragement and what it means to give someone their flowers, if you will. So, of course, we've been filming our show here at Zenith Studios, and we're grateful for the owner, and we want to talk with him,
Yes.
Scott Godsey. And when we come back, Scott's going to join us. So tell a friend you're watching the Treva and Kevin Show. All right, we are back. Treva and Kevin, thank you so much for coming back to join us today.
Yes, absolutely. Got a special friend and guest today you want to talk to, you want to listen to.
That's
so
right. Hello,
introduce
it's Scott Godsey. He's the owner of Zenith Studios.
Yeah.
All right, I got it right. Sometimes they do so many things that it's a rarity when you find people in life who are brilliant and creative, and we give you all respect for what you do. Like I'm like, how do you do what you do? You wear many hats. So welcome on our set, Treva and Kevin Show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
And the big amazing thing, he's so young. That's what
He's young.
He's young. So hit it, Scott.
Yeah, you know, I get told all the time I look really good for being 65.
Yeah,
I'm 35, and you know,
Wow.
this is a great place. We love having you guys here for your TV show.
Thank
Hours.
you for giving us a home.
Absolutely. And we do a mix of things, but to be honest, I think anybody in business in 2020, everything's in flux. You know, there's businesses that have done better because of the shutdowns and the restrictions, and then there's a lot of businesses who didn't do well at all, and sometimes even have went bankrupt.
Yeah. I
think there's very few businesses that went uninterrupted.
Absolutely.
In some way. So you probably either went this way or this way. And in order, unless you're like, you know, a pizza company, which would have done well, the takeouts and deliveries.
Absolutely.
Unless you're kind of in that space, I think you have to be creative. And we try to be creative anyways. We deal a lot with music artists in the Christian music space. But it's just been one of those years that we've built more systems for monetization for businesses than ever before.
Yes.
So the opportunity has been great, and so we've tried to rise up to that opportunity with all the relationships that we have and their audiences.
Okay.
And so one of the things that we've done really well with is online streaming concerts and putting artist content, like what they would actually perform, behind what we call a paywall. All that really means is that we're charging money for tickets for online concerts. But how to do that, and when we did that, which was our first one was March 28th, and we ended up raising over $500,000 for Christian music artists.
Wow!
In a very short amount of time, about 2 months.
Amazing.
And so that was pretty interesting. But then that is springboarded into all different kinds of live streaming production. And because of our facility here, this is one of our studios. But we have audio, we have video, we have lighting. We have the space to do things, and thanks to talented people like the director of this show, Jake Sammons, in building systems online and websites and ClickFunnels and all the things that come with, you know, building and marketing online, we've become a turnkey solution for people who want to stream their content. You know, you may find a company that does one of those things, or maybe even a few of those things, but being able to do all of that in a package where someone like yourself, Kevin, you probably want to do a concert.
Yeah.
You know, man, you could come in here and
Let's go ahead.
we could stream a concert.
A Christmas concert.
Oh, a Christmas
A Christmas
concert.
concert with Kevin Kennedy.
Watch out.
Yeah, I like
Straight
it.
to you, Kevin Kennedy.
I
I could even hear sleigh bells ring. Are you listening?
Okay.
Jake. I want to turn Jake loose and I'll come outside just like Elvis.
I like it.
I know. It'd be good.
You got as much swagger as Elvis now.
Well, I always said, you could take all these backup singers that sing so good, you got the best talent in the world, then the greatest musicians. How could it be bad? It couldn't be. Even with, I might let you do a little show up in there too.
A feature.
A feature. I didn't say.
Special guest.
I said a
That's
very
right.
little show up
right.
in there. Christmas broadcast,
Yes.
bringing some
I
joy.
remember once I did a segment with you. You had some show, and when he says a little bit, I think I was on there for like 1 second.
Well, I didn't want to be too generous to you that
You're
Christmas.
stingy with the camera.
Watch out. Praise the Lord. There's another day coming.
That's right. The gift of Christmas.
The
So,
gift of
so
Christmas.
what would you like to say, Scott, to all of the artists who are watching and perhaps, during this pandemic, some of them have not done very well and they're looking for a way to get their music out there, produced. What can you say to encourage them today? What can they do?
I would say the number one thing is that dealing with artists and even entrepreneurs, people in business, not just artists, if you think that you're going to be able to do the same thing by and large
Wow.
and get the same result in 2020 or even 2021 and years to come, I think that you're going to have a really hard time in life.
Yeah.
Because the world has changed, the economy has changed, and the way people consume almost everything, or at least the delivery mechanisms, maybe not what they're consuming, but how they're getting it, has also changed. I don't want to scare anybody, but those people sitting around just hoping that the world gets back to the way it was is probably not the right reality to live in. And so I encourage everybody to do whatever it is that they can do to move their business forward in more of a digital era that we're in. And in artists specifically, there's so many things that artists can do to monetize their brands that most people aren't thinking about. They think about recording music and then they're going to stream it, or they're going to sell a CD,
Yes.
or they want to go tour it. Well, that's all fine and good. All those things can still happen. But monetizing a brand and trying to turn yourself into a brand and not just a music artist. And when you do that, then you open yourself up for all kinds of content that you can create, whether it's a Patreon model. We have a platform that we created called Arise for Christian artists, or an on-demand print solution. So you don't have to inventory 300 t-shirts and then go try to sell all 300. There's solutions that you can create a whole merch line for a company or for... And we built one of our own as well. Godsey.shop. You can check it out. And so the reason I'm saying all of that is that if you have an audience of any kind for a brand, for an artist or a company, there are other ways to try to generate money digitally, and all of those things can happen, through social media, email, text, whatever that is. So, and then the last thing I would say is that if you're one of those people that are an artist and you've, been conditioned to rely on touring, you may not have access to those people without touring. So anything that you can do to gain access to those people, collecting information for texting and then using that for geo-targeting and same thing with Facebook and Instagram, that's all fine and good, but that direct contact with email and texting, there's solutions out there that are not hard to use. CRM systems, so you can really start working with your customer base and learning their habits, but the number one thing is building your own tribe. And if you can build your own tribe and have direct contact with them, I think that's where music artists in particular win.
And one thing I loved, Jake, about one thing I love about Kevin, he says, don't wait it, create it. Kevin talks about
Absolutely. Well, I'm telling you, even hearing him talk today, my mind is thinking about the inspiration, and I'm delighted to have you on here today because we are inspiring some young minds. Just takes a little seed, a little time, a little water, and then comes the harvest.
That's right.
God bless you. You did great, my brother.
Well, when we come back, can we hang out with you a little bit more?
Sure. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here all day.
Okay, I've got some questions. We have some questions. So when we come back, more with Scott Godsey here on the Treva and Kevin Show.
See you. Stay tuned.
Be right back. right, Treva and Kevin Show. You know, this show is Encouragement Matters, and man, I'm sitting here with two phenomenal men, and I'm so grateful, two men of God, and encouragement does matter. This is the holiday season, and, you know, we're all excited about it. What would you like to say let's speak to families today and how we can just love on our families and encourage our families during this time of the year?
You know, the great thing that while we've got Scott here, it's a rarity. We're glad that we can bring some of his ideas and insight to your home for you to understand. And, you know, I guess I'm old school, he's new school, and together we can make a whole phenomenal idea that can go. Inside you today are ideas. And if he shares something that you can say, I'm going to get up and do it, let me be the first to say, to take some steps towards it. And encourage you to do so. Just in the brief moments we had a little earlier, okay, you got my attention. Okay, I'm rocking and rolling. And I guess when I look back over my life, I was maybe unique because I could be inspired. And I feel even inspired here on the set today. So Scott, tell us some things that, you know, when you were just chit-chatting just then, you were telling us all about these new techniques. What are some of the really hot ideas that you might share with Treva and me and the viewing audience?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the first thing to consider is that if you want to make sure that you always have business and can stay in business, is look at the relationships that you have around you and figure out solutions. Solutions to not just problems, because they may not even know it's a problem, but solutions to generating business and engagement. And then that compounds. And so as long as you're always creating solutions, I feel like for the people that you're in business with, you'll always have a business.
So not focus on the problem, focus more on the solution.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even a problem, it's just a different thing. The solution in many cases is, how do I make more money? Right. So
well, everybody wants to know that.
Everybody wants to know that.
You know, I'll say this, guy. You know, I had these interns in my office all these many years, would take about 50 a year for a couple of weeks, and I realized, I said, that university is full of brilliant people. They all know all the different things in technology, Instagram, but how do you take that brain capital, that intellectual capital, and how do you convert that into money? And so that's been a mystery all of these years. I've identified it, I haven't perfected it, I've made headway in it. So what would you say today if you said, you know, if I just came out of school and I'm looking, don't know what to do, where is some creative idea a person might could pick up and say, I'm going to consider this, and I'd encourage you.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's looking around the room, looking around your life and your relationships, and not focusing on what I don't have. You know, I see so many people that never get to first base with an idea, because the whole time that they're looking at first base trying to get there, they're looking at all the reasons that they can't do it, all the problems.
That is true.
Instead of going, hey, there's one path that I can get to first base. And if you can't get to first base, then you certainly can't get all the way to home.
Yeah.
You know, and so looking around you and seeing what you do have, and focusing on that and creating whatever it is that you want to create from what you have in the relationships you have. And then hopefully some of the other things that you don't have will fall into place. But in order to get going, which I think is the question, you know, you have to analyze not only what I have, but what are my strengths, and being honest about what your strengths and weaknesses. And knowing your weaknesses, I think it might even be more important than knowing your strengths.
Well, be honest with yourself, you know, and don't overcommit yourself.
Do you think some people are in denial?
Yes. Don't overcommit. What Kevin and I, even when we started working in this industry, of field of television, we had so many people who would just say, I can produce your show, and I can do this, and they couldn't. They said, I have a camera, and they might not have had a camera. It's like, you can't record our show with a phone, you know, or what have you. So we have come a long ways. I want people who are in business to walk in integrity and to do business. The Bible says, when in business, do business. That's what we love about what you do. You have a commitment to excellence. So where does that come from?
How did you master that?
Listen, that's my question. How did you?
That's a great question.
I just enhanced on your question, so let the man answer.
I love it.
For me, it's having a great team, because I certainly can't do 90% of what comes through here, and so I know that my greatest strengths is creating and generating business. So anything that somebody else can do, by and large, we make sure that they do it. And the entire team around me knows if they can take something off my plate, I don't even have to ask them to.
Wow.
They just automatically take it off my plate, even though I can do a lot of the things that they may be able to do as well, freeing me up as much as possible.
That's good
for my
plan.
two main strengths.
Yes.
So if you have, say, you have a CEO of a company, he says, my employees won't listen, my company is going downhill. Is it the characteristic of poor leadership, or what is the problem? What is really, I mean, like you said, your team, they go above and beyond. They do what you ask. They do it without you even asking. They know those responsibilities. That's the characteristic of a great leader.
Yeah.
What makes a great leader? And is that person, they say, well, I'm the CEO, but my company is haywire. Folks won't listen. Is that the characteristic of poor leadership, or what is going on with that?
Well, that's a big question, and I think that could be multiple scenarios, but I'll take it to this step,
Okay.
which is you have leadership that is micromanagers, and then you have leadership who leads by example and tries to bring everybody with them and stays at the same level as everybody else. Everybody knows who the boss is. Everybody knows who writes the check.
Right.
You don't have to treat people poorly to get their attention. A matter of fact, going above and beyond to treat them, in my opinion, the right way, like humans, like they're all your friends, and they should be if you're all working together.
True.
And creating a positive environment that is fun and productive, I think produces everything that you need in a company. I'm a millennial. I'm on the older side of the millennial, but working with other millennials, trying to figure out how people want to work and what's going to make them successful in their position for the company, and treating each one of those people a little bit different because they are different people, and what's going to motivate them and get them to create and treat everybody in the process the right way. I think it's different. So interpersonal skills, absolutely. Just trying to figure out how to manage each person correctly.
Kevin?
Well, when I hear him talk, he
Wow.
really talks a lot
Brilliant.
more sophisticated. But now I do have part of the answer on how his team has been so tight. We've been around here training and mentoring all this team. You're supposed to smile on that, Treva. That was so powerful. He just went over her head.
I'm so deep into this conversation.
You're great encouragers.
I'm amazed right now.
Yeah, I know, and I believe that, and I feel it too. And quite frankly, you got a unique talent of sharing this in a very analytical phase. So you really need to write some of these things down and send them to Treva and say, Treva, you got to consider this. Kevin, you ought to consider that. And so really together, it's the truth. TEAM, together,
That's right.
each of us achieve more. What great things lie before us. With God's help, what can we get
Okay,
accomplished?
we need to take a break, Kevin.
Go ahead.
But when we come back, we'll close out the show with Scott. Why not?
Why not?
He's here.
Do it.
All right, we'll be back with more Treva and Kevin. All right, as Kevin just said, we've got him rolling. What do you think about our guest today?
Fascinating.
Yes.
And so he's got my attention
My
on
attention.
these. It was Teddy Roosevelt. Do what you have with what you got where you are. And that was powerful. So we make an assessment of our positive things. We don't dwell on the negative. We dwell on the positive. Let's take an inventory and then set the goal and move forward. We've said it on the show today. What you going to do?
Yes.
We're going to move forward.
And surely, Scott, you could not be the man you are today if procrastination
Say
would
it.
have been driving the vehicle.
Done.
Let's talk about that, because that is a pet peeve of mine, the word procrastination.
Yeah.
I don't like that word. That word is, I won't get away from me.
Yes.
I just want you to speak
Good.
on that.
Yeah, so I'm a procrastinator at times.
Okay.
Imagine that.
I love your truth.
Yeah,
I do.
it's all the things that I don't want to do. and that I don't like to
With
do.
all of this that you have, and you are a procrastinator.
It's hard to imagine. I agree. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so my 2 cents on that is I find that I procrastinate calling people back or answering their emails or text messages if I don't like them. Like if we just don't click, or if they're annoying, if they're too demanding for what they're paying me. So just trying to balance, the procrastination. Yes, it's procrastination, like I'll get to that later. It doesn't mean I'm sitting around doing nothing.
Right.
But putting off, certain things. I'm sure we've all got a bill in the mail. Right, you get a bill in the mail and you're like, hey, I'm going to pay that later. Well, you're putting something off that you just don't want to deal with.
But with your goals and your vision and where you're going, that's such drive and tenacity.
Yeah.
And moving forward.
I appreciate that, but the word procrastinate, that still happens. I think everybody does that, and you kind of compartmentalize the things that you really don't want to deal with. And you got to be careful with that, because if you're trying to go a certain direction with a company or even in life, you can only procrastinate with certain things and get away with it. And so you really have to be careful and understand the reality of
I got
all
a good
the relationships.
question.
Okay.
Turn him loose.
Turn him loose.
What's more powerful in your mind, inspiration or determination?
Oh. Wow. Let's think
that
on
is-
it.
I was rolling in my mind
Yes,
because
you
you
were.
have these inspired moments, but when you resolve yourself that we're going to pay that debt and we're going to attack it, that resolve is powerful. And I'm going to advance the cause of Christ, and I'm going to get something done. And Lord, give me these ideas.
Yeah.
So even what you shared here today, these are some creative ideas. So God has to give them to you. You can sit around and think all the time, but you're being receptive. Seeking, you shall find. Knocking, it shall be open. So let's hear your inspiration, determination.
Well, just the definition of both of those words, determination has more action that typically comes with that. Inspiration, I've seen some of the most inspired people, passionate people, they never get anything done. And you can be as passionate or inspirational about whatever the topic is.
Come on.
But unless you take action, which I think that's why I would go with determination.
Yeah.
But probably a good mixture of both. But determination.
Magic formula.
And I like how you thought about it. Sometimes we just speak, we give that answer, but you thought about it.
Yeah.
I was ready to speak. I love that. I'm learning.
No,
And that was a great question.
That was a great question.
Thank you both.
But
Praise the Lord.
You guys are such great encouragers. Like every time that you're here,
Thank
we may, like right now, we're shooting something else in another studio. So we always have other things going on. And I don't necessarily get to spend as much time with you guys
We
as what I would
understand.
like. But here's the thing. If we just cross paths for 30 seconds,
Crazy.
both of you always make it a point to encourage me and to encourage everybody else in this building, not even just my team, just whoever comes through the door. And you guys have such a gift, and that's why you have this TV show, and you have people tuning in all of the time, because they want that inspiration, but they also want to learn how to get that determination
Come
and
on.
take that action.
That's a
Okay.
magic
So what do you
formula.
think about the chemistry? Because I have to put up with him all the time.
No, I'm going to
So
tell
what do you think about
Sarah, you better go out there and get my stuff out of the car. I'm going to have to use it on her. They're pointing at you, Treva.
No, I need to hear this today.
Oh, well,
You better tell her off camera. It's going to be dangerous,
This
please.
is dangerous. Here's the thing: is that your chemistry and what you guys do, to me, it's a little bit of a magic thing. To be able to turn on the cameras and yes, you have things stripped out to a certain point, but to just be able to speak into people's lives, I think you're doing it for the right reasons. And I think anytime that you do this kind of activity and that has such a commitment involved to it every single week, right? You're pouring into people's lives. I don't think you would be effective with that messaging throughout all your shows if you really didn't love people. And I can say firsthand experience that you love people.
Amen.
And when you love people, you try to do things to help them. And I think that's why this show is a success.
Thank you, Scott. What a joy and blessing.
I knew you would enjoy
I
it.
look at you. You brought the biggest smile out on Treva that we've had.
Oh, my goodness.
That's it. You inspired her. Come on, share it.
Reciprocated. I like it.
Yes. All right. It's been a wonderful show. Encouragement matters. Kevin has learned a lot today, and I know he will take it with him
I'm
for the
gonna
rest of
use
his
it
life.
today.
And
In
we thank
Jesus'
God for our elder today. We
Praise
love
the
you,
Lord.
Kevin.
And she needs some grace today. Grace for Treva.
All right,
See you
thank you.
soon. Bye.